Both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides.
Knowledge is power. In session Power 106.
To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. It is right, it should be so. Man was made for joy and woe, and when this we rightly know, through the world we safely go. Joy and woe are woven fine, a clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy with silken twine. The strongest poison ever known came from Caesar's laurel crown. Naught can deform the human race like to the armor's iron brace. Every night and every morn, some to misery are born. Every morn and every night, some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to endless night. God appears and God is light to those poor souls who dwell in night, but does a human form display to those who dwell in realms of day.
Beautiful Mother Nature, she looked at me with a smile on her face. Then she started to cry. She said, why did my children forsake me? She felt like she was dying. Oh, ungrateful children. When she was young, she was beautiful and strong. Yeah. The more children she had, the more things went wrong. Now she's feeling old and cold, and her heart doesn't feel love anymore. Beautiful Mother Nature, she sat me down and told me to sing her a song. Maybe it would make her feel better. Maybe her children would sing along and see the wrong we have done. Make amends to mend her heart. She still wouldn't hate none of her children. No matter what the things they've done, she'll always be there when her baby's crying. She's a mother you can depend on. Beautiful Mother Nature, she's hoping her children will love her again, like one she remembers before skyscrapers and chemical plants. when she was all that we had. Before they polluted the sacred land. Now her tears are falling like acid rain, and her voice sounds like earthquake. I got to beg her, mother, please don't leave. Give another chance. I'll talk to the kids. Beautiful Mother Nature, she was mine. Beautiful Mother Nature, still is mine. Beautiful Mother Nature, she is mine. Beautiful Mother Nature, still is mine.
2021 to 2030 is the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, and the Decade of Action for Road Safety. It's the first day of the 11th and penultimate month of 2021, the International Year of Peace and Trust, the International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development, the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables, the International Year for the Elimination of Child Labor, and the International Year of Health and Care Workers. Put another way, it's the first day of the 6th month of the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, and the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, keeps us abreast of developments weather-wise. Here are some details on what's happening right now in the North Atlantic, the Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico. The National Hurricane Center is issuing advisories on subtropical storm Wanda, which may cause you to wonder. Yes, there is Wanda, W-A-N-D-A. The National Hurricane Center is issuing advisories on subtropical storm Wanda. Is it any wonder? This has happened before. Anyway, going right down to the wire. This is the last month of the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, and Wanda is starting us off and putting us in a state of wonder. Subtropical storm Wanda, located more than 900 miles west of the Azores. That's the system that the Hurricane Center is keeping a watch on, but there are other happenings. There's a small low-pressure system several hundred miles west of the Cabo Verde Islands, otherwise known as Cape Verde Islands. And apparently, that low-pressure system, several hundred miles west of Cape Verde Islands, otherwise known as Cabo Verde Islands, has become better defined today. However, associated shower activity is limited, and the system is expected to continue moving northwestward into a region of less conducive upper level winds, which will limit the chance of for any significant tropical cyclone formation. So that one is a relief. Let's look at the other system that the Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida is monitoring. Now, this is another low pressure system which has formed over the southwestern Caribbean Sea, just north of western Panama. The system is expected to move westward into Central America by early tomorrow, Tuesday, which will inhibit tropical cyclone development or minimize the likelihood of tropical cyclone development. However, this disturbance will still produce locally heavy rainfall across southern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama through Tuesday, tomorrow, which could result in flooding and mudslides. By Wednesday, the system will move into the far eastern portion of the eastern Pacific Basin.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:15.
Let's face it, these haven't been the best of times, but they aren't the worst of times either. At COK, we recognize that some of our members are finding it challenging navigating the new normal. But that's why we have initiated the COK Debt Amnesty. If you're having difficulties repaying your loans, come in, talk with us. Get a waiver of up to 100% of the penalties due. Call 764-1509 or email amnesty@cokcu.com. Conditions apply.
Tune in every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. to midday for your legal corner with Dahlia Walker Huntington during Power Talk on Power 106 FM. You can call our numbers 876-922-4112-5. The text and WhatsApp line is 876-279-8598. You can also send an email at yourlegalcorner106@gmail.com. Join Your Legal Corner for all matters in relation to immigration to the United States. Here, Dahlia offer great legal advice on your immigration queries and concerns. Learn about the filing process, when to file, and how to prepare for the move. That's Your Legal Corner, 11:30 to midday, every Thursday, right here on Power 106 FM.
Feeling cold and cold and raw.
Elsewhere in the region, there's a high pressure ridge across the eastern Caribbean, according to the National Meteorological Center of Jamaica. The high pressure ridge just pretty much essentially prevents the kind of cloud cover that could cause some kind of precipitation or rain. So once you hear, as we always say, once you hear of a high pressure ridge, it's generally fair weather. And because of the very nature of a high pressure ridge, it minimizes cloud formation and related precipitation or rain. There's a stationary front west of Jamaica, and we've explained the front before with respect to how it represents. Well, you have cold fronts and warm fronts. So the stationary front essentially is a weather front or a transition between two air masses. It's like think red and blue, for example. Neither air mass is advancing into the other at a speed exceeding 5 knots at the ground level. So it really is a transition zone between two air masses. That's the stationary front. So stationary there means it's standing or sitting or not moving at a particular point. So so there's that stationary front west of Jamaica. And then there is a frontal system, which is also in the area. And a frontal system generally forms when a cold front overtakes a warm front. So when a cold front overtakes a warm front, we have a frontal system. A frontal system is formed. So when the air behind the front is cooler than the air ahead, it is called a cold occlusion. When the air ahead is milder, it is a warm occlusion. So the frontal system forms when a cold front overtakes, think two vehicles on the road, and one overtakes the other. So the cold front overtakes the warm front, and that leaves us with a frontal system. It forms a frontal system. And that's expected to dissipate later today. And the word dissipate, by virtue of the sound that you get when you say it, should give you an idea. It's almost like you want to say disappear, but it means it just disintegrates. It peters out, and yeah, that's essentially what dissipation has to do with. So the frontal system is expected to dissipate later today. Thereafter, a weak trough, and remember, when you hear trough, think cloudiness, think showers, think thunder showers. So they're a weak trough. Once this frontal system dissipates later today, once this frontal system disintegrates, once it disappears today, we can look for a weak trough, which is across the island, a weak trough across the island. And the forecast for this afternoon, widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms across western and south central parishes. Tonight, partly cloudy. And now we need to tell you about the observances for this brand new month, the month of November, 30 April, June, and November. All the have 31 days, except February alone, which has but 28 days clear and 29 in each leap year. Remember that? We learned that in school. Well, some of us learned that in school. So here we are in the brand new month of November. What are we observing this month? November it's a busy month. It's Science and Technology Month. November is also Youth Month, Parents Month, Local Government and Community Development Month, Diabetes Awareness Month, Epilepsy Awareness Month, Drug Abuse Awareness Month. November is also Food Month. It is Eat Jamaican Month. It's Alzheimer's Awareness Month, CARICOM Energy Month, Kiwani's Family Month, and Lung Cancer Awareness Month. And this week, usually observed around this time, this week, Correctional Services Week, Family Planning Week, and I think we did Correctional Services. No, we did Public Health Inspectors Week last week. That was last week. And last week was also Fire Life Safety Awareness Week. So this week we did call the Family Planning Board, but the information we got, the brief information we got was that they're not having their usual week. I'm not sure what will replace that, but let's see. It's also today is Children's Day in Panama, and Christians around the world are celebrating All Saints Day. Hoy es lunes, el 1 de noviembre 2021. Y les saludamos en cualquier parte del mundo que nos están escuchando en este momento. Estamos muy agradecidos por el don de la vida y el privilegio de servirles en otra edición de su programa Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia. Nunca vamos a tomar su audiencia por sentado porque sabemos que ustedes tienen otras opciones y esta es la razón por la cual jamás olvidamos darle las gracias por elegir Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia, de lunes a viernes desde las 2 hasta las 5 de la tarde, aquí en Power 106 FM. La misión continúa para educar, capacitar, iluminar y estimular el espíritu empresarial. Bienvenidos. C'est lundi le 1er novembre 2021. Et nous vous saluons tous qui nous écoutent, où que vous soyez dans le monde. Nous sommes reconnaissants du don de la vie ainsi que du privilège d'être à votre service par une nouvelle édition de votre programme Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre. Nous ne considérons pas votre fidélité comme l'un de soi parce que nous savons que vous avez l'embarras du choix. C'est pourquoi nous n'oublions jamais de vous remercier de choisir d'écouter Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre, du lundi au vendredi de 2h à 5h de l'après-midi sur notre antenne Power 106 FM. Nous continuons notre mission d'éduquer, d'habiliter, d'éclairer et d'encourager l'esprit d'entreprise. Bienvenue. All we're saying is it's Monday, the 1st of November, 2021, and we greet you well wherever in the world you are listening to us right now. We remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices, and that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome.
Maybe it would make her feel better. Maybe her children would sing along and see the wrong we have done. Make amends to mend her heart. She still wouldn't hate none of her children. No matter what the things they've done, she'll always be there when her baby's crying. She's a mother you can depend on. Beautiful Mother Nature, she's hoping her children will love her again, like once she remembered before skyscrapers and chemical plants, when she was all that we had, before they polluted her sacred land. Now her tears are falling like acid rain, and her voice sounds like earthquake. I had to beg her, Mother, please don't leave. Give another chance. I'll talk to the kids. Beautiful mother.
We started out this afternoon with an edited version of The Auguries of Innocence. The Auguries of Innocence by William Blake. And we paired that with Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers' beautiful Mother Nature. Why? Because there's a major climate change conference underway in the United Kingdom right now. It started yesterday. It's called COP26. COP26. COP, as I understand it, pretty much stands for Conference of the Parties. Conference of the Parties, COP. And it's 26, it's COP26 because 2020, this 2021 meeting is the 26th meeting. And that is why it's called COP26. The COP, Conference of the Parties, as we said, that's what COP stands for. And these individuals will attend by countries that signed, the event itself will be attended by countries that signed the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. That treaty was agreed on back in 1994, and the struggle continues in more ways than one. I will talk more a little later on. In the meantime, here's a reminder that this is the 305th day of 2021, 60 days left in the year, 53 days away from Christmas Day. After the break, it will be time for Land Solutions.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:30. The Caribbean Maritime University, an ISO certified institution, offers Bachelor of Science degrees in cruise shipping, logistics, engineering, marine tourism, port management, security administration, and management, among others. For further information, contact them 876-924-8150 or 924-8175 or email info@cmu.edu.jm.
It continues to be all smiles at Wellington Dental. We offer dental care for the entire family, including cleaning, filling, whitening, and other dental services. There's wheelchair access and an exciting play area for the children. Wellington Dental, 57 Wellington Street, Spanish Town. Telephone 876-984-5482 or 876-749-3515.
Here, it's there, it's everywhere. It's OneSpotMedia.com. Watch your favorite local program or listen to your favorite radio station from anywhere in the world on your tablet, smartphone, or personal computer. Download the app now and keep up to date with your favorite local programs on TVJ. Check us out at OneSpotMedia.com. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook.com/OneSpotMedia, and subscribe now. OneSpotMedia.com.
It's a Monday afternoon, just after 2:30, and you know what that means. Time for Land Solutions. This is the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land, you've come to the right place. And then there are other matters like land surveys, willing property, general conveyancing, the conveyance of property, etc., real estate, the whole works. Anything at all to do with land. Remember, the law, as I understand it, takes into consideration land, not the property sitting on the land itself, right? Hence, Land Solutions. Got it? Right. Let's get ready now for your calls. If you have questions, you need something cleared up, you're unsure about something in relation to land, let's go. Ready for you. Here are the numbers to call. 876-922-4113-5. That's 876-922-4113-5. The text line for Land Solutions today also doubles as the WhatsApp number. That text line is 876-881-5254. 876-881-5254. So you can send your text messages and your WhatsApp messages for Land Solutions. 876 881-5254. The website is landsolutionsja.com. Landsolutionsja.com. The on Facebook, it's facebook.com/landsolutionsja. facebook.com/landsolutionsja. The email address is gloria@landsolutionsja.com. gloria@landsolutionsja.com. The law firm Brown, Findley and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road and Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs the JN building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. You're encouraged, though, to call the law offices of Brown, Findley and Company before or instead of just turning up. Call and you will be advised accordingly. What will you need to walk with or take with you, and other forms of information. Those numbers to call the law firm Brown, Findley and Company, 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. In a moment, let's say hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Attorney at Law, Calicia Findley.
Good afternoon, Dervan. Thank you so much as always, and good afternoon, listeners. Thank you also for tuning in to another edition of Land Solutions. As Dervan just said, I'll be your host for today, Calicia Findley, and I'll go straight into the many questions I have waiting on me. But as always, feel free to call, send a message with any questions you may have. First message. My uncle wants to will his house to me, but his children disagree. What should he do? Your uncle should do whatever he wants to do. If your uncle wants to will his house to a perfect stranger, as long as he is in his right mind, as long as this is what he wants to do, as long as no one is forcing him to do it, he has every right to do so. Sometimes, however, I know it's easier said than done because we all have family dynamics. We know there can be issues, and that's putting it nicely. There can be issues in family, especially when it comes to deadlift. We all know that. So what I think you need to do is have your uncle go into an attorney by himself. Even if you take him there, you wait outside, let him sit with an attorney and have an attorney advise him as to what needs to be done. And the attorney can right then and there prepare the will for him. So his children can disagree all they want. At the end of the day, it's up to your uncle to decide who he wants to will his property to. And again, listeners, remember, just because you are related to someone, whether they are your spouse, your parents, or your child, it doesn't mean that they are obligated to will anything to you, to leave anything for you, to give anything to you. I don't know how else to put it. You are not automatically entitled to anything from any relative under their will. They can will it to anyone. We see it happening all the time. Someone will their entire property to their church or to a good friend, and then family members will try to challenge it. And oftentimes they just end up wasting time and money, because as long as the courts can show that the person was in their right mind, the will will be considered valid. I have a follow-up message. Are you entitled to anything if you take care of a sick person or pay their funeral expenses? So are you entitled to anything if you take care of a sick person or pay their funeral expenses? Again, the answer is no. And I see this, unfortunately, all too often. People think, and because people think that if you pay someone's funeral expenses or if you help to take care of them, you pay their medical expenses, that you're automatically entitled to something. And the sad thing with that is that I find that some people only decide to help a sick relative or a sick neighbor because they think that they will be obligated to get something after that person has died. No, again, you are not entitled to something from a person's estate just by virtue of paying their funeral expenses or taking care of them. And if you are taking care of someone now just to be able to or hoping to gain something, then you might as well stop because you'll have your conscience. I'll leave you to your conscience. But again, no, you're not entitled to anything just by taking care of someone. See the message is rolling in relation to wills. Can a doctor or a nurse in the hospital witness someone's will? Yes, certainly, and it happens all the time. Again, and I say again because this is something we talk about quite often. Anyone over 18 who is not getting anything in the will or who is not a spouse of someone who is getting anything in the will can witness your will. So two perfect strangers can witness your will. So yes, a doctor or a nurse can witness the will. And remember, when someone is witnessing your will, they are simply witnessing your signature. They don't need to know what is in the will. So they don't need to know that you're leaving your house to John, you're willing your car to Mary. They don't need to know all of that. So you can hide everything that's written in the will. You can fold it over if you don't want them to know. As long as they are there when you sign, they see when you sign, and then they sign right after you. And let me just talk a little bit about that, because too often when persons are making wills on their own, there is confusion about exactly what needs to be done when a will is being witnessed. The minimum amount of persons you can have present when you are signing a will is 3. The person whose will it is, so that's the person making the will, and 2 witnesses. They all have to be there together. So you can't sign your will today and then tomorrow you take it to a neighbor and have them witness it, and then Wednesday you take it to another neighbor to have them witness it. That is not going to be a valid will. It must be signed in the presence of 2 persons. If there is only 1 witness, it's not a valid will. That's unfortunate, but that is what the law says. The Wills Act must be 2 witnesses. And I've seen it on quite a few times where someone will come to us, they want to probate a will, they present you with the will is properly signed by the testator is a deceased person. But when you look at the bottom part where it's supposed to be witnessed, it's only witnessed by 1 person. And I say to them, I'm sorry, we can't probate this will, it's not a valid will. You have to apply for letters of administration. And they are often or always shocked out of their minds. So a will must be witnessed by 2 persons. If you cannot find anyone to witness a will, go to an attorney's office. If you're ready to write your will and you still don't have anyone, you can go ahead and fill it in, write in what's there, but don't sign it until you have 2 witnesses present. Other than that, it will be a complete waste. So please, we cannot stress this enough. A will must be witnessed by 2 people. And those 2 people cannot be beneficiaries and they can't be spouses of the beneficiaries. If one of your witnesses or even both of your witnesses happen to be beneficiaries, meaning your witness is getting something from the will, then the will be what we call voidable. It can be struck down as not being valid. Again, your executors can witness your will, but only if they are not getting anything in the will. Remember, the executor is the person you name in charge of your estate. They're the ones who should carry out your wishes and distribute your assets. So if you are not giving anything to your executors, then they can witness your will. I know sometimes, and sometimes some attorneys make mistakes. So if attorneys are making mistakes, then it is quite easy for a lay person to make a mistake. And you may have the best of intention. So if at all possible, please, please, please seek legal advice before making a will, because you don't want to go through all that trouble, make your will, and then at the end of the day, the persons who you want to benefit aren't able to benefit from your intentions. Our numbers to call in live on air, 876-922-411-325. Again, that's 876-922-411-325. The text and WhatsApp line, 876-881-5254. You may also send us an email to gloria@landsolutionsja.com, and also to our Facebook page at facebook.com/landsolutions. And if you want to call us in office at the law offices of Brown, Findlay and Company, the numbers are 876-908-1950 and 876-908-3518. This is Land Solutions.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45. Our family and friends are a big part of who we are. And when it comes to keeping you connected to them, Grace Kennedy Money Services Western Union makes it safer and easier. Now friends and family overseas can use the Western Union app or westernunion.com to send money directly to your bank account without leaving home. Receive a Western Union money transfer directly into your bank account with a direct-to-bank service. Register online at gkmsonline.com and share your banking details with your sender so you don't have to leave home to collect.
You're listening to Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land, you've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call: 876-922-411-224. Or to, let's do that again. 876-922-411-325. 876-922-411-325. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions. That number is 876-881-5254. 876-881-5254. And we're all over social media, of course. Well, there's Facebook Live. Facebook for Land Solutions is facebook.com/landsolutions.ja. facebook.com/landsolutions.ja. The email address is gloria@landsolutions.ja.com. gloria@landsolutions.ja.com. The law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6, upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. And they're encouraging their clients and potential clients to call ahead, and they'll be advised accordingly. So call ahead instead of just turning up. The numbers to call the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company, 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. Once again, here's attorney at law, Calicia Findlay.
Thank you, Dervan. Over to our WhatsApp messages. Good day. My mother has a piece of land and my name was added after to the title. She is now deceased. She has other children. What steps should I take if I want to sell this land? All right. It would depend first on how you owned it with your mother. you didn't say. If you're still listening, please send me a follow-up message. So you could have either owned it as joint tenants with your mother or tenants in common. If you owned it as joint tenants, we would first need to do an application to note debt. Once that is done, we can go ahead and sell the property. I note that you say she has other children. If you owned the property as joint tenants with your mother, it wouldn't matter if she had other children, because once a joint tenant dies, it's the survivor who gets everything. So as the surviving joint tenant, it's now everything belongs to you, and you can decide what to do with it. If you want to share it up among your siblings, that's fine. If you want to sell it and keep everything for yourself, you're perfectly within your rights to do that. If, however, you own the property as tenants in common with your mother, you would first need to settle her estate before you can sell it. And by settling her estate, I mean, if she left a will, the will would have to be probated. The will would have to be probated, and whoever she willed her share to, they would be entitled to their share. If she did not leave a will, then you would have to apply for letters of administration, or if your mother was married, her spouse would apply for letters of administration, and then the property her share, I should say, would be shared amongst her beneficiaries. So it all depends on whether you owned it as joint tenants and tenants in common. We have to deal with that before the property can be sold. And just to say, if you are going to be selling the property and you don't know how much you want to sell it for, the first step would be to get a valuation letter. So you can have an idea of the value, so you know how much you should be asking for once you decide to sell it. So send me another message. Let me know if you owned it as joint tenants or tenants in common, and I can advise you further. Continuing with our text messages. Excuse me. Can a spouse change a will after the death of the other spouse? To change which will? And I'm not being facetious, but I just want some clarification. So let us say we have John and Mary, their husband and wife. John has now died, and John made a will. Clearly, after John has died, his will cannot be changed. So I'm going to assume you mean whether you can change your will as the surviving spouse. And certainly you can. One caveat, though, as long as it's not what we call a joint will. So if you both have your separate wills, your husband has died, you still alive, and you want to change your will, you most certainly can. The fact that you and your spouse would have each had your separate wills, and they're not interconnected, they're not joined, they're completely separate, doesn't mean that you cannot change your will. So yes, you can go ahead and change your will. Again, our numbers to call in live on air, 876-922-4113-5. The text and WhatsApp line, 876-881-5254. Again, that's 876-881-5254. I own a house with my husband. I'm sorry, this message now is from our Facebook page. If I own a house with my husband and it has two buildings, we own equally as tenants in common. And he says this means he can claim the flat at the back and I can keep the house at the front. Is this right? So husband and wife, they own property. It has two buildings. They own as tenants in common. Husband is saying that he can claim the flat at the back and that wife can claim the house at the front. And the wife wants to know if this is correct. No, it is not correct. So I can see why he perhaps would think this. When you own property as tenants in common, you own separate shares. In this case, they own equally. So they each have a 50-50 entitlement to the land. But remember that title, and I think Dervan alluded to it earlier. He's probably now an expert in land law, having been listening to us over these years. Remember that title is for land. So you can't say, let's say you own a house and it's a 4 bedroom house. You can't say these 2 bedrooms at the front are mine, the other 2 bedrooms at the back belong to someone else, or that the house at the back belongs to the other person on the title. No. Both of you own everything equally. So in this case, the husband and wife would own the flat at the back equally. They would own the house equally. They would own the kitchen counter equally. They would own everything equally. What the bigger issue I think here for this couple seems they may be having issues. So perhaps they may want to explore the possibility of a division of property, meaning one person buying the other out. If that is what they want, I'm not sure, I'm just surmising, or they sell it on the open market and they split the proceeds equally. But no, absolutely does not mean that one person is entitled to a separate section of the property, because land title is for land, and both of you own everything equally.
And we have a caller for you, Calicia.
Thanks, Dervan. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon,
I'm
how
just
may I
listening
help?
to your program. I wanted
Hello.
to find out. My husband died and
Yes.
left a house, but my name is not on it. But I already applied for letters of administration, so I got it in my name. But suppose I should die. No.
Hold on 1 second, please. I'm not sure if you're hearing me clearly, but the connection is bad. Can you go again, please?
Yes. My husband has died.
Yes.
But I'm not on the title of the house.
Yes.
But I already got letters of administration.
Yes.
And but what I wanted to know, if I should die, and he has older children before we had married.
Yes.
And this house that I'm living in, that is his house and my house, but my name is not on the title.
Yes.
He built it while we were together. If I should die, would the house go to just the children that I have, or will it also have to go to the older children that he had before?
All his children, the older children and all the other children, are entitled to share in it.
Even though we built it together?
Yes. How long ago did he die?
10 years ago.
Yes, they could be entitled to it. Why I hesitate a little bit is because it seems like you're saying it is the matrimonial home.
Yes.
But as many of us may know, once it's a matrimonial home, the law says, the Property Rights of Spouses Act says that each spouse is entitled to a 50-50 share. But there was a case recently that said the Property Rights of Spouses Act does not apply after the death of a spouse. Many of us disagree with that decision, but it seems to still be standing. So in your case, all the children would be entitled to a half, and you would also be entitled to the other half. I can complicate it a little more, but I don't want to. I want you to call me in office tomorrow, because it seems like, yes, you have got letters of administration, but you're not finished with the process yet. There is still more to do. And God forbid, if you were to die now before finishing the process, it could complicate things even further, because that would mean that your estate would have to be dealt with, and then his estate would have to be, quote unquote, re-administered. I just don't want to get too technical. So you need to finalize.
Whatever that I would have been entitled to being alive, it would have to go together and be split among all the children. No,
not your share. Not your share. Your share would go to your beneficiaries. So if you haven't already to make a will. But I want you to keep listening though, because I want you to call me in office tomorrow to find out exactly where you are in the process.
Oh,
All right?
but I have not done any probate on it.
But you said that you've done letters of administration.
Yes, I have letters of administration.
Once you have letters of administration, you
probated.
don't need probate. Probate is only when someone makes a will. Once you have letters of administration are done when the person hasn't made a will. So you don't need probate. But it's still not the end of the process.
But if I die tomorrow morning, would my share would have to be shared among my children and the other the stepchildren?
Not your share, but his share. Understood? So your share would go to your children, but his share would go to all the children, all his children.
Even if I have not done anything with the process, with my name is not on the child.
Yes, they would still be entitled to it.
They're entitled to his share, but
his share, yes.
But my 50% can go directly to my children.
Yes, they would be entitled to it, but it's a little more involved than just going directly. So that's why I want you to call me so I can explain it further to you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You're very welcome. Thanks
you
for calling. You're welcome. Numbers to call in: 876-922-4113-5. This is Lance.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3 o'clock.
Members of the public who are due their second dose of the Pfizer vaccine must make an appointment to receive that dose. Appointments can be made online at moh.gov.jm or by calling the vaccination call center at 888-1-LOVE. That is 888-663-5683. Persons who visit a vaccination site without their appointment will be inconvenienced by long wait times and may not receive their dose on the day. Once members of the public have their appointments confirmed, they should visit their vaccination site at the time of their appointment with a copy of their vaccination card, their government-issued identification, or a letter from a justice of the peace. Children between 12 and 18 years old should take along a copy of their birth certificate.
You're listening to Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land, you've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call: 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The Land Solutions text line is the same as the WhatsApp number. And that number for today is 876-881-5254. 876-881-5254. The website is landsolutionsja.com. Landsolutionsja.com. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/landsolutionsja. Also, the email address is gloria@landsolutionsja.com. gloria@landsolutionsja.com. The law firm Brown, Findley and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. And they have an office as well at Shop 6, upstairs the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. In fact, there's a lawyer on duty every Thursday. Make a note of that, every Thursday, and Calicia will give you more information before the program ends today. But remember, call ahead. Don't just turn up, whether in Ocho Rios at Shop 6 upstairs, the JN Building, or Suite 39 at the Winchester Business Center. Call ahead. The numbers for the law firm Brown, Findley and Company: 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. Once again, here's attorney at law, Calicia Findley.
Thank you, Dervan. And regarding the Ocho Rios office, the number for that office is 876-974-6083. Again, that's 876-974-6083. and one of us is usually there on a Thursday between 10 and 1. Continuing with our messages. Regarding that person with the husband and the 2 buildings on the land, please explain why a married couple would choose to be tenants in common. Because that's what they want to do. A married couple does not have to be tenants in common. Many of us still labor under that belief that once you are married, once you own property with your spouse, that you automatically have to be joint tenants. You don't. And just a quick refresher course, when you own as joint tenants, the rule of survivorship applies. So 2 people on title as joint tenants, 1 person dies, everything automatically goes to the survivor. And I can understand why some people would think that it's your spouse, so you own property with them, you automatically want everything to go to them if you die. But that's just not the reality. So the other option, so that's joint tenants, the other option is tenants in common, where you own separate shares. It can be 50-50, 60-40, 99-1, whatever you choose. And the tenants in common, when one person dies, their share does not automatically go to the surviving tenant in common. It goes in accordance with what their will says, if they have made a will, or if they haven't made a will, it goes in accordance with what the law says. So to this day, some people still don't understand why a married couple would want to own as tenants in common. But what if one of the spouses has grown children who are not a part of that union? What if one of the spouses wants to will their share to a family member? You never can tell what can happen in a relationship. One day everything is nice and you're in love, and next day things change. And some people want to know that if anything happens to them, their share does not automatically go to the other person they're entitled with. And it's for that reason why a couple can choose not to own as joint tenants. If you are buying property now, if you're thinking of buying property with a spouse or with anyone, think about it this way. If you need help in deciding whether to be tenants in common or joint tenants, what do you want to happen to your share if you die before the other person? If you are absolutely certain that you want it to go to the other person, perhaps joint tenancy may be the better option. If you know without a doubt that you don't want your share to go to the other person, then choose tenants in common. If you're not certain, and if you are practical and you know that things can change, then I would say go for tenants in common. Because it doesn't matter, your ownership in the property, your interest in the property doesn't change. Owning property with someone as tenants in common as opposed to joint tenants doesn't make you any less of an owner. Both of you still own everything together. So if there's any doubt at all, go with tenants in common. Again, our numbers to call in live on air, 876-922-4113-5, or text and WhatsApp line, 876-881-5254 to call us in office. You may call us at 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. Over to our WhatsApp line. Own property jointly with my ex-husband. He asked me some time ago to take steps to remove his name. What do I need to do? Okay, was this your matrimonial home? Whether it is your and I'll get back to that shortly. Whether it is your matrimonial home or not, once you are removing a spouse's name from a title, you would do a transfer. So you would be essentially transferring the interest from husband and wife, and in your case, from husband and wife to wife. So both of you would go to an attorney, and preferably each of you would have your own attorney, One attorney would prepare the documents, both would sign, then it's sent to the stamp office to be assessed. I'll get to that shortly. And then to the titles office to have the change effected. And that entire process can take about 2 to 3 months. If it is or was your matrimonial home, then you can get an exemption in the property. I'm sorry, not in the property tax. You can get an exemption from the transfer tax. So ordinarily, transfer tax is 2%. But once a transfer involves the matrimonial home and it's being transferred between spouses, then you don't pay any transfer tax. And I'd say once it's being transferred between spouses, because it has to involve the spouses. So if both of you are on title and you want to add your child or a relative, you can't qualify for the exemption. It either has to be one spouse adding another one or one spouse coming off the title.
We have a question for you coming in on WhatsApp, Calicia, from Lorna. Lorna says, good afternoon. If I add on a small apartment to the family home, can I own that apartment by myself, or it has to be divided into 5 for all the children upon the death of both parents?
Good question, Lorna. It is going to be owned by everyone. Again, title is for land. So because title is for land, it means that the title covers everything on the land. So you have one house already, you spend your money to add on another section, an apartment, a flat, it's going to belong to everyone on the title. If you happen to, let's say there's a dispute and you happen to end up in court, the court could possibly make a ruling to say that you are entitled to the value of that apartment if it comes down to it. But they could also rule on the other hand, and I've seen this happen already, that you built it, because knowing everyone that's on the title, you built it for the benefit of everyone. So which is why we always say, don't spend your money improving on property, building on property, unless you are certain about your interest. If you have 5 people on a title, I personally would never spend my money to go and add another section on that property, because I know that in the end it's going to be near impossible for me to claim that as my own. So if you want to go and build somewhere, find something for yourself. Continuing with our messages. I know an executor can sell a property, but is it possible for him to buy it also, or can he give it away since executors have so much power? That's a good question. Let me start with the second part first. No, an executor cannot give property away. So, ordinarily we talk about transferring property doing a deed of gift. That's what we mean when we refer to giving property away. An executor can sell property because they have that power, but they cannot just simply give it away to a third party or even to anyone named in the will. If they try to do that, it will be automatically rejected at the titles office, because once you are transferring property, as an executor, we have to send the will, the probate. They're going to verify the will, look on the terms of the will, and if they see that this transfer is being done outside of what is said in the will, it's going to be automatically rejected. So yes, though, on the other hand, we know that an executor can sell property. Usually an executor sells property to be able to settle debts of the estate, to pay for legal fees, and to pay for estate duties. Yes, an executor can buy the property, but it is something that has to be done carefully. The beneficiaries would have to agree to that, and it should not be sold or should not for anything less than the market value. Because if that is the case, then let's say the property is valued at $10 million, but the executor says, yeah, man, I will take it off your hands. I will buy it for $5 million. That would be a breach. An executor owes a duty of care to the estate, to the beneficiaries. It's what we call a fiduciary duty. If the property is worth $10 million and the executor says, yes, I am willing to buy it for $10 million, and the beneficiaries agree, then no problem. It can be done. Continuing with our messages. If a will is valid after it is signed and witnessed, why does it still have to be probated? Because that's what the law says. It's a process that must be complied with. So your will is perfectly valid. Many people think that once someone, in fact, even before the person dies, many people think that once a will is written, it comes into effect. Once it's signed, no, a will only comes into effect after the person dies. And even after the person dies, it must then go through the processes of being probated at court and then estate duties being paid. And it has to be done to further validate and further prove the will, because it's a court order that we get. That's what we call the grant of probate. It must be stamped and sealed. And this is to confirm that, yes, this will is valid, so the executors can now go ahead and honor the deceased person's wishes. So it's technical, it's tedious, it takes a long time, but there is no way around it. You can't just have a will in your hand and say, all right, I'm going to go and sell this property. It must be probated. This is Land Solutions.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:15. Tune in every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. to midday for your Legal Corner with Dahlia Walker Huntington during Power Talk on Power 106 FM. You can call our numbers 876-922-4112-5. The text and WhatsApp line is 876-279-8598. You can also send an email at yourlegalcorner106@gmail.com. Join Your Legal Corner for all matters in relation to immigration to the United States. Here, Dahlia offer great legal advice on your immigration queries and concerns. Learn about the filing process, when to file, and how to prepare for the move. That's Your Legal Corner, 11:30 to midday, every Thursday right here on Power 106 FM.
It continues to be all smiles at Wellington Dental. We offer dental care for the entire family, including cleaning, filling, whitening, and other dental services. There's wheelchair access and an exciting play area for the children. Wellington Dental, 57 Wellington Street, Spanish Town. Telephone 876-984-5482 or 876-749-3515.
It's the final segment of Land Solutions for today, the 1st of November 2021. Get those calls in before the program ends at 3:30. Here are the numbers to call to speak with attorney at law Calicia Findlay, 876-922-4113-5, 876-922-4113-5. They have a website. It's landsolutionsja.com. Landsolutionsja.com. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/landsolutionsja. The email address is gloria@landsolutionsja.com. gloria@landsolutionsja.com. The law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. Clients and potential clients are encouraged to call ahead instead of just turning up. And the numbers to call the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company are 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. And on a Thursday, you will find at least one of the two attorneys who appear on this program on a Monday, either Gloria Brown or Calicia Findlay. They do duties on a Thursday in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. You're encouraged once again to call ahead instead of turning up in light of the COVID-19 protocols. Once again, here's attorney at law, Calicia Findlay.
Thank you, Dervan. And Gloria will be at the Ocho Rios office this Thursday. Good afternoon. If I'm an executor and not a beneficiary, am I still entitled to 6% if I am a witness? And this person says that they are a long-time listener. Thank you so much for listening. So if you are an executor as well as a witness, are you still entitled to the 6%? And the 6% that this person refers to is the executor's commission of 6%. Yes, you are still entitled to your executor's commission if you are an executor and a witness. And just for those of you who may not know, by law, an executor is entitled to a commission of 6%. So if there are two executors, it is shared equally. And I don't think I said before, but just out of an abundance of caution, it is always best to have at least two executors. The law says you can have up to 4. It's always best to have at least 2 because God forbid you only have one and then that person dies. It could prove a little challenging. I have a flurry of messages. I'm going to try my best to get to as many as possible.
And we're going to add to your load because we have a
No
couple
problem.
of callers on hold.
All right, Dervan. Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Not sure what happened there. I got cold feet. Should we go to another?
Anyone else?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Afternoon, how may I help?
Yes, first of all, let me say thanks for a very informative educational program.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We
Yes,
appreciate it.
and it's something that I always take time out to listen to
Thank you.
every
Thank
Monday.
you.
And also, we should say hello to Dervan also. Now, just a follow-up on a question that was raised earlier on with regards to the transferring of a matrimonial property
Yes.
between spouses. Now, you said there is no transfer tax if the property is being transferred from one spouse to another.
Correct.
Right. However, in a case where the property is in the name of one of the spouse and they wish to transfer it to the other spouse.
Same, no transfer tax.
Same, no transfer tax.
Yes, as long as the parties are both spouses, whether
both spouses,
one adding
yes.
one taking off one, no transfer tax.
Yes,
There is
and
transfer tax once you bring in a third party.
Oh, so in the event of a child.
Yes, there will be transfer tax.
Oh, so with it, okay, thanks very much.
Sure, you're welcome.
All the best, Miss Finley.
Yeah, man, thanks as always.
And continue to keep up the good work.
Thank you.
You're good.
Continuing with our messages, Miss Finley, my father's will has the executor and 2 other persons as witnesses. So sounds perfectly valid to me. As I have just said, it's always better to have more than one executor. But if in this case you only have one and it's duly witnessed by 2 persons, no problem. Good day. I live in the States. I gave a friend money to buy a piece of land in Mandeville several years ago. As of today, I don't have a title or much information about the land. What should I do? Oh, the land was a subdivision. I'm happy you added that last part because, I mean, even if you had said, I could have guessed that it was a subdivision. It's a problem that's all too frequent. The developers, the sellers, sometimes run into problems. They don't have the money to put in the infrastructure. so they don't get the subdivision approval, and it's just on hold for years. But send me another message. What has your friend told you? Is there an attorney involved? What is the reason being given? How long ago? Send me another message, and I'll follow up with you. A follow-up message. Someone who had asked about removing a name from a title with their spouse. The person now says that the title is being held as security for a loan. Usually, where a mortgage company is holding a title, they may not allow a name to be removed unless that person pays up their share. So if that person still has money outstanding on their share of the loan, then it would have to be settled before they will allow any changes. One common scenario would be, let's say you buy property through the NHG, husband and wife. Let's say husband is the only one who uses his NHG benefits, and he now wants to remove wife. As long as wife did not use any of her NHG benefits for that property, then the NHG won't have any issues removing wife from the title. If a person gave a false declaration to obtain a caveat on a title, what can happen to that person when it is discovered? Someone would have to make a report, to the police or to the fraud squad. So you'd have to make a report, and then the investigative process would take course. So if you know something like that, then you know what you need to do. If your name is on the title of your parents, and we are all tenants in common, and you do an addition to the title, one parent dies, can you sell your part? Yes, technically, once you're tenants in common, you can technically sell your part. But is anybody going to just want to buy a part of a property? Because remember, as I've been saying for this program, title is for land. So let's say you have 5 people on title. You want to sell your share. You find someone to buy your share. Are the others going to allow that person to move it? I doubt it. So technically it's possible, but I don't see how practical it is. Can you change your mind after signing a sale agreement? I suppose you can, but you probably shouldn't because there's going to be serious repercussions. If you are the person selling, so let's say you are under contract, seller has signed, purchaser has signed, purchaser has paid their deposit, and the seller says, you know what, I've decided I don't want to sell again. In fact, I found somebody who wants to pay me $5 million more. I'm canceling this sale agreement. The purchaser can sue you for what we call specific performance. And specific performance is where we go to court and we ask the judge to grant us an order to compel you to continue with the terms of the contract as you had intended. And I see this happening, especially where people believe that they are underselling their land, which is why we drill it in sellers so much to know what your property is valued before entering a contract. Because let's say you're selling it for $5 million. After you sign up everything and the deposit is paid, for $5 you still can't cancel, or you still should not cancel, because even though it's worth $10 million, once you have a valid contract for $5 million and the purchaser wants to enforce it, the court will be on the side of the purchaser. If you are the purchaser and you now want to cancel a sale agreement after both parties have signed and after the deposit has been paid, then the law says you can lose your deposit. Even if it is not stated in the contract, the law says you can lose your deposit, and the most you can lose is 10%. So please do your due diligence before you enter any contractual relations. This is why each party should have their own lawyer so you can have independent legal advice. Can't have one person advising both parties. Let me just see if I can get in one final message quickly. How do I legally sell a piece of my land? I could do a whole show on that. To legally sell a piece of your land, the first thing you must do is get subdivision approval. Many people, and this is what causes so many problems, they get a section of their land surveyed, they have the diagram, and they think that once they have the diagram, that means that the land has been cut off. No, that is just the beginning of the process. You use that diagram and the blueprints you get from your surveyor, so your surveyor needs to come in and prepare the plans. That is submitted to the parish council. It takes about 18 months to 2 years to get subdivision approval. Once you get the subdivision approval, then you come back to us, the attorneys, apply for the splinter titles, meaning the separate titles for the different lots. Only when you have separate titles for your lots can you then go ahead and sell those lots. So you must have subdivision approval. Thanks as always for tuning in to Land Solutions. You may keep your messages coming. Thanks as always to Dervan and Adrian. I've been your host for today, Calicia Finley. Take care and all the best.
You contribute directly to Jamaica's national development when you pay your customs duties. Let's all do our part in keeping the wheels of our economy turning. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is 3:30.
Let's face it, these haven't been the best of times, but they aren't the worst of times either. At COK, we recognize that some of our members are finding it challenging navigating the new normal. But that's why we have initiated the COK Debt Amnesty. If you're having difficulties repaying your loans, come in, talk with us. Get a waiver of up to 100% of the penalties due. Call 764-1509 or email amnesty@cokcu.com. Conditions apply.
Power Talk on Power 106 FM, finding solutions to the challenges we face in a globalized world. Power Talk, taking talk radio to another level. Join Dr. Herbert Gale on Mondays and Tuesdays and Simon Crosskill from Wednesday to Friday as they provide riveting analysis on the issues of the day and speak with stakeholders charged with driving innovation to move Jamaica forward. Tune in for innovative features designed to showcase local developments and highlight how the global issues of the 21st century are being addressed. That's the powerful pair, Dr. Herbert Gale and Simon Crosskill on Power Talk, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays, right here on Power 106 FM.
Beautiful Mother Nature, she looked at me with a smile on her face. Then she started to cry. She said, why did my children forsake me? She felt like she was dying. Oh, ungrateful children. When she was young, she was beautiful and strong. The more children she had, the more things went wrong.
Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers. Beautiful Mother Nature. As we take a look at COP26. And there are those of you probably wondering, what is that? And what, I mean, why should I care about that? COP26 is the UN Climate Change Conference, the United Nations Climate Change Conference, which is happening in Glasgow, Scotland, in the United Kingdom, in partnership with Italy. As we said at the start of the program, COP is the abbreviation for Conference of the Parties. Conference of the Parties. That's what COP stands for. And 26 is indicative of the 2021 meeting, which is being held in Glasgow, Scotland. This meeting is the 26th meeting. So the 26th there represents the 26th meeting of the Conference of the Parties, COP26, being attended by countries that signed the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, a treaty which was agreed in 1994. So when you watch the news or listen to the news or read the news and you see COP26, that's what it's all about. It's the United Kingdom hosting this 26th meeting of the group of countries which signed that agreement back in 1994. And it is very important if climate change is to be brought under control, they tell us. COP26, the event, is a global United Nations summit about climate change. And yes, the debate rages on. That's fine. It is generally seen, climate change that is, as the most important crisis that the world is facing today. There are those who argue, is the climate really changing? Or is it that we just happen to be living, we just happen to be existing at this time in the history of the world and in the life of Mother Earth and in the time of the climate? We just happen to be living at this time when the climate is going through one of its many phases. So there are those who argue along those lines. But then when you check the scientists, the campaigners, the experts in their own right, as far as the world is concerned, it is a complicated issue, but a very important one. When we talk about climate change, we're talking about global changes in the average temperature here on Earth, the Earth's average temperature. And generally speaking, the Earth's average temperature moves up and down. That's natural. Naturally, the Earth's average temperature moves up and down, but it has been increasing more rapidly than it usually does. Now, this change is impacting. It's like your vehicle would normally operate a certain way. There are certain conditions in which it will function, and there are certain things that would normally happen over time through wear and tear, or whether we don't take, maybe not maintaining or servicing our vehicles, that we hear all kinds of sounds and experience all kinds of effects as we handle the motor vehicle. Well, it's a similar, I don't want to say similar, but just trying to paint a picture here that the longer we take to service the vehicle or to replace a part or to minimize certain things that we're doing that are negatively affecting the vehicle, for as long as we cause all of that to happen and we don't do anything about it, eventually, as my late mother would remind me, every day you carry the bucket go a well, one day the bucket bottom must drop out. If we keep doing the same harmful things, if we keep harming our environment, there will come a time, and it is upon us. That moment is here. It is here. It is upon us. That time when we can no longer enjoy the temperatures we used to. We can no longer do the things we used to. We can no longer build the way we used to. We have to make adjustments. Do you need another example? When you find the time, well, our beaches are still closed, no? I think. Can we go to the beaches? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But yeah, but the idea is just go out to Helsha. For those who haven't been to Helsha in a while, and look at the sea saying, hello, excuse me, this is our space. And this is, yeah, that's the sea talking to us. The sea is saying, this is, what is all this? Who built this thing here? Come on, let's move this out of the way. Get away from, move this from here. And the sea is taking back its rightful place. And yeah, so that's the idea. So the more harm we do to the environment is the more the environment will harm us. Not in and of itself, but based on how we have, our actions have negatively impacted the environment. Now, so everything is being affected. Everything. The rivers, the trees, the plants, the animals, everything. And that includes us, obviously. So, scientists tell us in terms of the temperature. So what is causing the Earth's temperatures to rise? The scientists say many of the changes to the Earth's climate are caused by human activity, which means things that humans are doing. Some of these are burning of oil, coal, and gas, because these resources are called fossil fuels. They are used to power factories, buildings, and transportation. Now, when burnt, they release substances into the atmosphere, including a gas called carbon dioxide, which then traps heat from the sun and warms up the earth, which that process is known as the greenhouse effect, that situation, the greenhouse effect. And then there is waste. The way we dispose of our waste often adds to these harmful emissions. Even food waste, yes, the very food that we throw away, creates another greenhouse gas called methane when it rots. And that methane, this is of this part of it, I mean, I'm grateful for the reference to BBC. Thanks to the BBC for providing some of this information, bbc.co.uk. And the waste, methane, off the top of my head, methane can power certain elements. So methane can be used, as I remember it, to cook food as gas. If you get the picture, yeah, that one I'm remembering off the top of my head. So and that is created from food waste, and that's the food waste creates another greenhouse gas called methane as the food is rotting. It creates, and that sometimes results in some kind of a combustion, for example, at our landfills, not least of all the Riverton City landfill, or some people say it's properly called a dump because it hasn't been developed to the point where we could call it a landfill or some other term. And then there's deforestation and urbanization, and the people of Haiti can tell you about deforestation. they have been impacted by it. Urbanization speaks to when people start living in cities. And deforestation is when a forest or tree covered area, because not all tree covered areas are forests necessarily. So a forest, when a forest or a tree covered area is turned into something else, for example, a farm or a space for houses. So that's when urbanization is setting in. Urbanization is when more people start living in cities, and deforestation is when a forest or tree covered area is turned into something else. As we said, the examples of a farm or space for houses. And for those who have little or no appreciation for the trees help us by absorbing carbon dioxide. That same carbon dioxide we mentioned earlier on. Remember we said that when the burning of oil, coal, and gas, all of that, those are called fossil fuels, and they're used to power factories, buildings, and transportation. When they are burnt, they release substances into the atmosphere, including a gas called carbon dioxide. Everything is connected because when we talk about deforestation and the negative implications of that, let's remember that the trees, we just mentioned the carbon dioxide, the trees help us by absorbing that carbon dioxide, but they release it back into the air again when they are cut down. See the difference? So when you cut them, so when they are alive, when the trees are living and enjoying the atmosphere and playing their part in the atmosphere and absorbing the carbon dioxide, that is wonderful. Except when we cut down the trees, because then they release that carbon dioxide back into the air again when they're cut down. One moment, please.
Knowledge is power. Class is in session. Power 106.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:45. Power Talk on Power 106 FM, finding solutions to the challenges we face in a globalized world. Power Talk, taking talk radio to another level. Join Dr. Herbert Gale on Mondays and Tuesdays and Simon Croskett from Wednesday to Friday as they provide riveting analysis on the issues of the day and speak with stakeholders charged with driving innovation to move Jamaica forward. Tune in for innovative features designed to showcase local developments and highlight how the global issues of the 21st century are being addressed. That's the powerful pair, Dr. Herbert Gale and Simon Croskill on Power Talk, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays, right here on Power 106 FM.
It's strong. Yeah. The more children she had, the more things went wrong. Now she's feeling old and cold, and her heart doesn't feel love anymore. Beautiful mother.
Playing our part in heightening environmental consciousness as COP26 ensues in Glasgow, Scotland. Another of the features of climate change, there is population growth, naturally, which means the growing number of people in the world. Check this. In 1960, there were only 3 billion people in the world. In 1960, there were only 3 billion people in the world. 1960. Now, if you fast forward, what's that, 61 years later, and we have more than 7 billion people in the world. More than 7 billion people in the world. Which means the demand for more will be quite evident. They need more. We need more food to eat, and we need to do what it takes to get more food to feed more mouths. And we need more places to live. So we have to do what we need to do, although some of it is detrimental to the environment. And that's where it becomes problematic, because we have those needs. And the scientists are also telling us that the world is about 1 degree Celsius warmer than it was 300 years ago, when the Industrial Revolution started and people began to work in factories. And it's quite instructive that COP26 is taking place in Glasgow, Scotland, in the United Kingdom, because the UK was at the forefront of the Industrial Revolution, that transition to new manufacturing processes in Britain, continental Europe, and the United States between 1760 to 1820 and 1840. So we're coming from the days of the steam engine back in 1712. That's when the steam engine was invented. And we moved from the steam engine invented in 1712 as, the technology of the time. By 1764, we were looking at the spinning jenny that was invented in 1764. In 1769, James Watt, his name lives on in terms of the voltage of a bulb, watts, how many watts, and, voltage in general. Yeah. James Watt improved the steam engine, and then Eli Whitney patented James Watt improved the steam engine back in 1769. In 1794, Eli Whitney patented the cotton gin. That was 1794. And then by 1844, Samuel Morse invented the telegraph. Elias Howe invented the sewing machine in 1846. Elisha Otis invented the elevator safety brake in 1853. And we could go on and on and on through the years just to demonstrate where we're coming from and the advancement of technology, which in and of itself has implications for our climate, for our environment. You get the picture. We don't need to belabor that. But so that was the Industrial Revolution, the fact that the world is about 1 degree Celsius warmer than it was 300 years ago when the Industrial Revolution started and people started to work in factories. There was a very influential 2018 report by an international group of scientists, and they said if the planet's temperature went up by more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, it would cause huge problems for the planet. Melting ice in places like the Arctic and Antarctic would lead to a rise in the Earth's sea levels. So imagine, you know what happens when ice melts, right? So imagine melting ice in places like the Arctic and Antarctic. That would lead to a rise in the Earth's sea levels. And what would result from that? Flooding of many coastal areas and islands like Jamaica. The other thing is, of course, extreme weather, like heat waves. And up to recently, we experienced that globally. Droughts. Well, we have had our bouts with droughts in Jamaica. And it means we would have storms happening more often and become more severe. Take, for example, right now, this is the first day of the final month of the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season. And now we are wondering about Wanda. There's the information we shared with you earlier on. This system, information from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. Now, under normal circumstances, let's say by September, usually by September, you would see or hear of less activity as far as the Atlantic hurricane season is concerned. But we remember some years ago, I can't remember the exact year now, when we went, we exhausted the alphabet as far as storm systems in the region were concerned. We exhausted the English alphabet, and we had to go to the Greek alphabet. And we did that. Wasn't it last year that we did that as well? I think yes, we did that last year as well. And so here we are, where subtropical storm Wanda is at 900 miles west of the Azores. So there's another. So, and this is November, when the hurricane season is supposed to end. It's supposed to end on the 30th of November, but that hasn't been the case in recent times. So that is something to be concerned about. And as of next year, while we're talking about the Atlantic hurricane season, as of next year, the hurricane season will start in May instead of June. For a long time now, we've had the start of the hurricane season in June. As of next year, 2022, June 2020, as of May 2022 or May 2022 will mark the start of the Atlantic hurricane season. The 2022 Atlantic hurricane season will begin in May. Remember that. Bear that in mind. Right. So let's get back to some of the other issues in relation to climate change. And feel free to chime in. The lines are open. And whatever else is on your mind. I mean, we're talking about climate change matters right now, coinciding with COP26 happening in Glasgow, Scotland, in the United Kingdom. But whatever is on your mind, the lines are open. 876-922-4112, 876-922-4113, 876-922-4114, and 876-922-4115. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can call us via WhatsApp. And that number is the same number, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. I believe we're getting a call now from one of our renowned scientists, Miss Olive in Portmore.
Good afternoon, Dervan.
Good afternoon.
Just a little switch from the weather thing, because oh boy, this weather thing is really
Speaking
really
of switch,
getting serious.
can you switch off your radio, please, Miss Olive, or whatever device you're using to hear us?
This TV is football I'm watching.
Whatever
All
you're
right.
watching.
All right. Yes, it's football. All right. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had done that. Quickly, this vax that they're talking about, this new word of the century, word of the year, or whatever, isn't there? It doesn't only also relates to a sports.
To sports?
Like an inquiry, yes, like a football. If they're not satisfied with what the umpire, what the umpire say, they go to this
Oh no,
thing they call
that
VAR.
is no, that's not VAX. That's VAR. That's VAR.
VAR. Okay,
Yes.
I get my thing mixed up.
Yes.
I know it sounds familiar.
Yes.
I was wondering if it's one and the same.
I think it stands for video assistance replay or something like that.
Like that,
Yeah.
right? You're so right. You're so right. Thank you for that.
Sure.
I start my November. I know you're gonna take me on now with a birthday greeting.
Can we get a sales rep from Miss Olive, please, to sign up a contract? I mean, really, no. I'm sorry. I don't want you to laugh too much. All right, let me pull back. Go ahead, Miss Olive, please.
Lord, if you ever know how me fret about this call, I'm going to do to me now. Now, just a birthday greeting to my triplet. The triplets I told you about that my brother's son has in London.
Yes.
Nathan, Jennifer, and Denzel. They are celebrating their birthday today. So I sent my brother a text this morning, and I don't know if anybody over the world in England or in his neck of the woods listen to this program. I must send him your number to him and make him listen to it. So I just want to wish them a happy Earth Strong, and I know the Lord has been blessing them, but more blessing, wealth, and health where they are concerned, because it's really something to have children grow up and be a feather in your cap.
Yeah.
And yes, it's not that easy feat to have children, and you try to bring them up the way you would like to, and they turn out how you would want them. So I just want to thank him for how he grew them, and blessings on all of them. And I think one of them has a daughter married, and one of them is in the arts. He does drawings and things like that.
We need to draw to a break, Miss Olive. One moment, please.
At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is
4 o'clock.
Looked at me with a smile on her face. Then she started to cry. She said, "Why did my children forsake?"
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Yes, Miss Olive, we'll allow you to complete what you were saying before the break. Just a moment. Go ahead now.
I have to check my list to see who else, if I have anybody else born November, which I doubt very much. And December is the month. So all the best, and you take it easy, my friend.
You too. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Clarky Bless in Hunstown, St. Mary says, "Good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Happy new month to you and your listeners." We reciprocate wholeheartedly. Clarky Bless in Hunstown, St. Mary. Thank you so much for your message. Hello. All right, let's clear some of these other messages. Let's go to YouTube. What time is it? Yes, just a moment. Coming to the phone lines in a moment. Greetings from London, says Dr. Renee Williamson. Jabless, Dr. Z, hashtag Trenchtown Rocks, 26th December 2021. Sounds like a coming event. And also Donovan Campbell, good afternoon to you on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us. M Jam has wonderful things to say about BPM Financial and how Power 106 FM created that space, which became quite fruitful for BPM through M Jam's by convincing M Jam to engage in wealth creation. And so MJAM is pleased with the service from BPM Financial. Happy to hear that, MJAM. And also, who's this? Jake says, "Please don't read out my name." All right. Well, I didn't. I just said Jake's. Good afternoon, Sir Dervan. Hail up, sir. As usual, you host a very informative program. More power to you, Jake's. Thank you very much, Jakes. STA Stawait, says Mr. Malcolm. Was that? No, I think what you have there, check what you have there. I'm not even going to say it, but check that and come back to me, Stowate. Check that and come back. Yeah, there are two pronunciations for that word. There are two. You either say methane or methane. Methane or methane. You can always double check that. That's straight from the Oxford. After all, who better to learn English from than the English? Thank you very much anyway, Stawait, Stawaite. You can either say methane or methane. Methane or methane. All right? Thank you very much for your message. Let's go across to Facebook Live and clear another set of messages. Faye Weller says, blessed love to all of you, Mr. Dervan and listeners. God bless you all. Ricardo in Glengoff, St. Catherine, greeting everybody as usual. Paul in Philadelphia, welcome. Norman Hines in St. Thomas. Mikey Jarrett says, good afternoon, blessings and blessed love from Brooklyn, New York. Hello to you and all the other Jamaicans and friends of Jamaica in Brooklyn, New York. All things being well, hoping to travel to New York in December. All things being well. For the 31st anniversary celebrations of the Union of Jamaican Alumni Associations, UJA, and that should be quite something. All things being well. Let's see how life unfolds between now and then. Cherry Henry says, Happy New Month to you too, Cherry Henry. Dr. Rosemary Adamson Lewis says, my goodness, Sir D, you are talented. You are fluent in so many languages, accent and all. Blessings. You're very kind, Dr. Rose. And we should let our listeners know that Dr. Rosemary Adamson Lewis is the leader, the chair of, or the representative of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council in the Southern United States, otherwise known as JADIAS, JADIAS. And JADIAS is hosting their fundraiser, which is scheduled for Saturday the 13th of October. Saturday the 13th of October. I beg your pardon, Saturday the 13th. October is done and dusted. This is a new month. Saturday the 13th of November. Saturday the 13th of November. JADIAS, that's the Jamaica Diaspora, Southern USA, will be hosting its inaugural Hall of Fame ceremony. And it will be at the Signature Grand, 6900 West State Road 84 in Davie, Florida. All things being well, we look forward to joining Faye Ellington in co-hosting that JADIAS Hall of Fame in Davie, Florida, Saturday the 13th of November, 2021. Starts at 7:30 in the evening under the distinguished patronage of Jamaica's Consul General, R. Oliver Mayer in Miami, Florida. All the very best to you, Dr. Rose, and the team as you continue the preparations for the JADIAS Hall of Fame ceremony. Patricia Barnes is saying hi. Hello to you, Patricia Barnes. Good to have you on board. So all things being well, we're hoping to join Dr. Rosemary Adamson Lewis and all the Jamaicans in Florida at the JADIAS Hall of Fame, Signature Grand, 6900 West State Road, 84 in Davie, Florida, Saturday the 13th at 7:30 in the evening. All things being well, we look forward to joining you all in Florida. And something Patricia Barnes says sounds complicated in reference to something that was said on Land Solutions earlier. Linton Taylor says, greetings, Sir Dervan. God bless you and your audience. To you too, Linton Taylor. Lorna Fairweather was on earlier on as well. Patricia Barnes, Inez Iona Campbell in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Also Arnett Morgan, Arnett is in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Bonjour, bonjour Annette, ça va? Montréal, Quebec. Montreal, Quebec in Canada. All the best to you, Annette Morgan. Thanks for tuning in. Valerie Thompson says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. To you too, Valerie Thompson. Elroy Joseph says, yay, good afternoon, Teach. It has been a while. Indeed, it has. Elroy, welcome. Angelia Christian in London says, where did her message go? Hold on. Come back here. There we go. She says, good afternoon, good night here in London. Good evening to you and the family. It's, yes, pretty much nighttime. 8 minutes past 9 o'clock in the night in London right now. And let's see, Nicola in Mandeville, Manchester. Good afternoon to you. Ruel Rula Brown, always a pleasure to have your company on both sides of the story, or the Jamaican Diaspora Live Online for that matter. Greetings to you, Ruel Rula Brown, who continues to dole out peace and love academic scholarships through the organization PALAS, Peace and Love Academic Scholarship, PALAS. Hundreds of thousands of US dollars, equating to millions of Jamaican dollars in scholarships. Well done, Ruel Rula Brown. Early Lewis says, hi, Mr. Malcolm. I just read that Scotiabank will be closing some branches and going digital in others. Some of these branches are located in the rural areas. This will create hardship for some customers who are not on the digital platform. The banks, NCB and Scotiabank, are not considerate, says Erlene Lewis. Would love to have a representative from Scotiabank and or NCB on this program one afternoon to talk about the transitioning that is taking place and how do we engage in transformation without leaving people behind, without discriminating against people who, whether deliberately or inadvertently, we would like to think inadvertently, we would shudder to think think of it as being otherwise. NCB and Scotiabank, who wants to come to us first? Somebody within Scotiabank or NCB family. Spread the word, run the word up the chain. We're ready to speak with anybody from NCB or Scotiabank about their plans and how they see the transition and how will they ensure that those customers who perhaps are a little slow to catch on to the technology of the time are not left behind. Scotiabank and NCB, over to you. And Maureen Grant Gauntlet says, greetings, Sir Malcolm, to you and all your listeners from Maureen in cool Mandeville. Welcome, Maureen in cool Mandeville. Thank you very much. And who else is messaging us? Let's continue. Where are we? We were sharing earlier on. Right, so let's look at, so we spoke about the temperatures rising and the melting ice in the Arctic and the Antarctic and the resulting flooding of many coastal areas and islands like Jamaica. We spoke about extreme heat waves, droughts, storms happening more often and becoming more severe. So why is climate change happening now, you might say, or you might ask? Well, one of the reasons why many scientists believe that climate change is caused by humans is because the planet's environment has changed dramatically since an era of history, which we told you about earlier, known as the Industrial Revolution. That was a period in history when humans started creating factories and machines to make lots of products quickly and cheaply. And so that gives you an idea. All these changes will have a massive effect on people and the world around us. Many people could be forced to leave their homes. Wildlife will be endangered, and the amount of land to grow food The amount of land to grow food on will be reduced. Poorer countries in particular could be more seriously affected. And COVID is giving us an idea. If you look at how COVID has impacted the globe, it's likely to be the same effect of climate change in terms of the small island developing states, SIDS, and generally the poorer countries. It's those who are less or least resourced who will suffer. All of us will feel the effects, but the most vulnerable will suffer. Queen Elizabeth delivered a video message to COP26, the latest climate change conference happening in Glasgow, Scotland. And let's see if we can share with you some of what was said in a moment and possibly after the break. But she essentially spoke of hope, a hope for success. She's hoping for success at the climate summit. She has urged world leaders to achieve true statesmanship and create a safer, stabler future for the planet. That's the urging of the Queen. Achieve true statesmanship, her urging to the world leaders. Achieve true statesmanship and create a safer, stabler future.
Knowledge is power. Class is in session. Power 106.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:15. The National Irrigation Commission Limited encourages efficient irrigation practices and responsible use of water. By doing so, we will allow the aquifer to be recharged and keep the supply flowing. A message from the National Irrigation Commission Limited. Irrigation, making the difference in agriculture.
Power Talk on Power 106 FM, finding solutions to the challenges we face in a globalized world. Power Talk, taking talk radio to another level. Join Dr. Herbert Gale on Mondays and Tuesdays and Simon Crosskill from Wednesday to Friday as they provide riveting analysis on the issues of the day and speak with stakeholders charged with driving innovation to move Jamaica forward. Tune in for innovative features designed to showcase local developments and highlight how the global issues of the 21st century are being addressed. That's the powerful pair, Dr. Herbert Gale and Simon Crosskill on Power Talk, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays, right here on Power 106 FM.
Skyscrapers and chemical plants.
Que hora es en espagnol? Son las 4:16. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 4:16. 现在几点了？4点16分. 16 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you had a checkup lately? If not, now is a good time. Let's not wait till we get sick to get a checkup. How about that? And children, have you done your homework yet? It was a joy to see the children today who went out to school next door. The Citizens Advice Bureau, RGR Basic School. Such a joy to see the babies. They're out again. We want to wish them well. And let us do all we can as adults to minimize transmission and infection of COVID-19. Please take care of the babies. They're out at school. You should see the roadblock in the vicinity of Citizens Advice Bureau, RGR Basic School. And the parents and guardians are so happy to have the children back in school for more reasons than one, I'm sure. Because you know how it is with growing children. They'll eat down the house, and we should feed them. They're growing children. And we should do our best to ensure that they are they are nourished. And also the of course the parents having to getting caught up in the online learning and sitting with the children and so on. And it's face to face, is it, quite frankly. Yes, we have to learn to adjust and to be resilient, etc. But nothing beats face to face. Right. So let's just hope and pray, and better yet, work to ensure all of us just take responsibility in continuing to reduce the infection rate of COVID-19 in Jamaica. Right. Let's continue to work on that. Some of the other outcomes so far of COP26, the Queen said in a video message that the leaders of the world should rise above the politics of the moment as they meet at COP26 in Glasgow. India has pledged a net zero target for 2070. Oh dear, 2070. We'll all be gone by then, but so be it. The world will continue, right? Right? India pledging a net zero target for 2070, 20 years later than the summit target set by Boris Johnson, that's the UK Prime Minister. Separately, China also has essentially failed to make any new major commitments on climate change at the conference. So nothing new, nothing new from China at COP26. And there's another story that caught our attention. One of what our diet has to do with our footprint, how our diet impacts our footprint. Well, one of the ways we can reduce our carbon footprint is through what we eat. Yes, what we eat has implications for the environment and climate change. So here's what is some of the other information coming out of COP26. We need to switch to a plant-based diet, where the experts are telling us that switching to a plant-based diet, and more power to those who are already there and have been there for a long time. The Rastafarians of Jamaica, for example, they've been there for a long time, right? Switching, so the experts are telling us, switching to a plant-based diet can help fight climate change. And that's coming out of a major report by the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which says the West's high consumption of meat and dairy is fueling global warming. So those of us in the West, our heavy consumption of meat and dairy is fueling global warming. So here, notice I said high consumption of meat and dairy is. That's what I said. High consumption of meat and dairy is. Why? Because the subject is consumption, not meat and dairy. The high consumption of meat and dairy is fueling global warming. Just had to get in that teachable moment. Now, if you're eating beef three to 5 times a week over an entire year, your consumption, listen carefully, those of us who love beef, if we're eating beef 3 to 5 times a week over an entire year, our consumption is, and this is as an individual, I'm just changing the pronoun for effect, but well, let's go back to the individual. If as an individual you are eating beef 3 to 5 times a week over an entire year, your consumption is contributing 1,611 kilograms to your annual greenhouse gas emissions. Let's say that again. If you're eating beef 3 to 5 times a week, over an entire year, your consumption is contributing to 1,611 kilograms to your annual greenhouse gas emissions. Now, that's the equivalent of driving a regular petrol car 4,111 miles or 6,618 kilometers, or taking 5 return flights from London, England to Malaga, I believe, which is in Spain. That's amazing. Now, many are already taking note of this. Daily meat consumption in the UK. This is encouraging news for those who believe this is the way we need to go. In the United Kingdom, daily meat consumption has fallen by 17%. Daily meat consumption in the United Kingdom has fallen by 17% in the past 10 years. And as the day, we're told another story coming out of the COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, in the UK. As the day draws to a close in Glasgow, US President Joe Biden said on Twitter that he hoped those present at the summit meet the moment on climate and kick off a decade of ambition, action, and innovation to preserve our shared future. There's no substitute for face-to-face diplomacy, he wrote. Yeah, and that's true. I think it's British Airways that's been telling us that long before COVID-19, the value of face-to-face. They have an ad. Well, I don't know if it's still run, but yeah, they were telling us that a long time ago. President Biden, Joe Biden of the United States, is among 25,000 delegates from about 200 countries and from every region in the world in Glasgow this week, gathered to share plans for how they will cut emissions by 2030. The much anticipated United Nations gathering is one of the biggest summits the UK has ever hosted. Over 2 weeks, we can expect a flurry of announcements from countries promising to curb emissions, like switches to electric cars. I saw a picture of, what's her name? She posted it on Twitter. Her name is escaping me at the moment, but she posted a picture of, or a video of her vehicle being electrically charged as part of her contribution to minimizing the impact of her footprint on climate change. So there is that. So we expect to hear all kinds of announcements. The Archbishop of Canterbury in England has apologized for comparing a failure to tackle climate change to the failure to tackle the actions of Nazi Germany during an interview at the sidelines of the summit. And you'll always get stories on the sidelines of these major meetings. And let's see if we can give you a bit of the Queen's message.
I'm delighted to welcome you all to the 26th United Nations Climate Change Conference. And it is perhaps fitting that you have come together in Glasgow, once a heartland of the Industrial Revolution, but now a place to address climate change. This is a duty I'm especially happy to discharge, as the impact of the environment on human progress was a subject close to the heart of my dear late husband, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. I remember well that in 1969, he told an academic gathering, "If the world pollution situation is not critical at the moment, It is as certain as anything can be that the situation will become increasingly intolerable within a very short time. If we fail to cope with this challenge, all the other problems will pale into insignificance. It is a source of great pride to me that the leading role my husband played in encouraging people to protect our fragile planet lives on through the work of our eldest son, Charles, and his eldest son, William. I could not be more proud of them. Indeed, I have drawn great comfort and inspiration from the relentless enthusiasm of people of all ages, especially the young, in calling for everyone to play their part. In the coming days, the world has the chance to join in the shared objective of creating a safer, stabler future for our people and for the planet on which we depend. None of us underestimates the challenges ahead, but history has shown that when nations come together in common cause, there is always room for hope. Working side by side, we have the ability to solve the most insurmountable problems and to triumph over the greatest of adversities. For more than 70 years, I have been lucky to meet and to know many of the world's great leaders. And I have perhaps come to understand a little about what made them special. It has sometimes been observed that what leaders do for their people today is government and politics. But what they do for the people of tomorrow, that is statesmanship.
Statesmanship is indeed, that's the Queen delivering her message at her recorded video message at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland. It's on. Jamaica is represented, led by the Prime Minister and his delegation. More in a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:30.
Love her again, like one she remembers.
Y ahora es en español, son las 4:30. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 4:30. 现在几点了？4点13分。Or is it 3:10 分? I think it's 3:10 分. 4:30 in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Do you know where your children are? Are they where they're supposed to be? Doing what they're supposed to be doing? It's a good time to check up on the children. A good time for us to continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story. Let's take a few more seconds, is it, of the Queen's message?
I, for one, hope that this conference will be one of those rare occasions where everyone will have the chance to rise above the politics of the moment and achieve true statesmanship. It is the hope of many that the legacy of this summit, written in history books yet to be printed, will describe you as the leaders who did not pass up the opportunity, and that you answered the call of those future generations. That you left this conference as a community of nations with a determination, a desire, and a plan to address the impact of climate change, and to recognize that the time for words has now moved to the time for action. Of course, the benefits of such actions will not be there to enjoy for all of us here today. None of us will live forever. But we are doing this not for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children, and those who will follow in their footsteps. And so I wish you every good fortune in this significant endeavor.
That's Queen Elizabeth. Let's, as we said, the Jamaica has a delegation in Glasgow, Scotland, as well, and there is, I think the Prime Minister, there's a clip of the Prime Minister speaking in Glasgow. Let's see if we can bring that up. Where is it? I'm sure I saw it earlier on. Let's try this and see what the Prime Minister had to say. No, I'm not seeing the message I saw earlier on, but there's another one where the Prime Minister delivered a statement. It's brief. Let's see if we can hear how the Prime Minister is representing Jamaica at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland. Here we go.
You will understand our anxiety that climate impact at more than 1.5 degrees is a threat to our very existence. Even at 1 degree, we are already losing our beaches, reefs, and land infrastructure from rising and warming seas. Yearly, we brace ourselves for natural disasters and the consequential fiscal pressures. Despite these challenges, Jamaica has proactively seized opportunities to strengthen our resilience and reduce our vulnerabilities. However, the quality of climate finance must urgently be improved. If we are to survive the threat of climate change, this means boosting grant funding from its current levels and allocating at least half of concessional climate finance to support adaptation and resilience objectives. The impact of climate change is frighteningly real for small island developing states. We have neither the technology nor the resources to adapt to the extent required, and moreover, there are limits to adaptation. This now takes us into the realm of loss and damage. Responding to loss and damage is a necessary part of the action we must take here at COP26. Now, immediately following this COP, Jamaica intends to submit its adaptation communication, reflecting our progress, but highlighting the support we need, including for loss and damage. We are also innovating by collaborating with the GCF and the UK FCDO to pilot a predictive tool, the first of its kind, to enable climate analytics to inform public and private sector infrastructure investments and to efficiently allocate financial resources. This will be made available regionally and scaled and replicated. We've also programmed the preparation of a national adaptation plan, which will, among other things, streamline adaptation priorities for funding, the development of a complementary financing plan and investment strategy for adaptation, the implementation of a long-term strategy for low carbon and climate resilient development, along with our updated NDC. Colleagues, friends, the young people of the world are depending on us to take action now. That has to start right here with us all right now. Thank you very much.
King in Glasgow, Scotland at COP26, which we told you about earlier on, the climate change summit happening in Glasgow, Scotland, and we'll continue to monitor the news coming out of Glasgow, Scotland, and share whatever information there is to share. we are reminded that the climate has no borders, quite frankly. Why do we need COP? Why do we need this summit? Again, just to reiterate, the world is getting warmer because of fossil fuel emissions caused by humans. Ice caps are melting and sea levels are rising. We're seeing more extreme weather events taking place around the world, including heat waves, floods, forest fires. These naturally occurring events are apparently being made worse because of the effects of climate change. The past decade was the warmest on record. The past 10 years was the warmest on record. And governments around the world agree that urgent action is needed. Urgent action is needed. And I think we're going to, what time is it? Yeah, well, let's look at a couple of nuggets here before we. All right, so let's look at the United Kingdom, since that is where the summit is being held. The United Kingdom government declared last year, 2020, a year of climate action, as well as the targets for changing to electric cars. That's one of the actions, changing to electric cars. The government of the United Kingdom has pledged to reduce the UK's carbon emissions to net zero, which means cutting emissions drastically and absorbing as much carbon as it produces by 2050. That's just under 30 years from now. This means emissions from areas like transport, farming, and industry will have to be avoided completely or offset by sucking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. This isn't technically Prime Minister Boris Johnson's idea. He inherited the pledge from the former Prime Minister Theresa May, who put the commitment into law in June 2019. But Mr. Johnson has said he wants fighting climate change to be one of his government's biggest priorities, and he has made a series of announcements around renewable energy, national parks, and protecting the environment. And so let's see how that goes. Let's see how that goes. So that's just some of the information. Can we say hi to some other viewers and listeners who have joined us here on both sides of the story? Power 106 FM. Hello and good afternoon to Hermin Bowie Bailey, who is asking us to convey condolences to the Roy's family in Limehall, St. Anne. They lost their mom, Clover Roy's, whose funeral will be tomorrow. Hermin Bowie Bailey wants us to convey to the Roy's family that God is still in control. Condolences to the Roy's family in Limehall, St. Anne, on the passing of the matriarch of the family, their mom, Clover Roy's, whose funeral will be tomorrow. And Hermin Bowie Bailey wants the Roy's family to be comforted by the fact that, as she puts it, God is still in control. Sham White says, hey, Dervan Malcolm. Hey, Sham White, good to see you. Judy Brown, welcome. Good to have you on board here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. Thank you so much for joining us, and all the very best to you. And here's what we want to do right now as we mix it up a bit. We want to take a quick look back at last year this time to see where we were and what was happening as a country, as a people, as recorded and reported by the Gleaner. And so we're going in We're going in to the archives. Tell you what happened last year this time. The 1st of November. 1st of November 2020. Let's see what made the news. Well, we can tell you what made the news yesterday. Was it yesterday? We learned that the murders are up 10%. That's what was reported in the news yesterday. Trying to remember that figure. I think it was 9. See if we can bring that up. 1,179 murders since the start of the year. 1,179 murders since the start of the year. So that problem is still with us. It has been with us for a while. And from all that has happened in the past, there is no indication that it will, and based on what's happening now, no indication that it will leave us anytime soon. That's not very encouraging, is it? Last year, this time was a Sunday. And on the front page of the Sunday Gleaner, a preview of page A3, dead heat in PNP presidential race. Was it really? Well, that was the story. Dead heat in PNP presidential race. That was the teaser on the front page. The actual story was on page A3. Also on the front page of the Gleaner last year, this time, custody battle. Dad, Theron's family head to court in tussle for infant. Always unfortunate when we have those family situations being publicized. One moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:45.
It continues to be all smiles at Wellington Dental. We offer dental care for the entire family, including cleaning, filling, whitening, and other dental services. There's wheelchair access and an exciting play area for the children. Wellington Dental, 57 Wellington Street, Spanish Town. Telephone 876-984-5482 or 876-749-3515.
The following is a public service announcement from Power 106 FM. Jamaica. Each wave of the COVID-19 pandemic with the added danger of variants has brought unprecedented pressure on public resources. Our hospitals and healthcare workers at breaking point. Our economy battered, families in mourning, and our children face an uncertain future due to learning loss. In this race against COVID-19, we must stay in it to win it. We must continue using techniques that can help to beat the virus. Follow COVID-19 mitigation measures, including wearing masks, sanitizing, 6 feet of physical distance from others. And on this leg of our relay, we can win with vaccination. These safe and proven vaccines can make the difference against COVID-19. And now that vaccines are in supply, let's get vaccinated so we can get back on track and keep winning. The finish line against COVID-19 is in sight. And with true Jamaican determination, we can all have the victory. Brought to you by your friends at Power 106 FM.
So we ain't giving up now. We put up a fight. We got to be ready. The stocks getting traded. Just said, don't you worry. Beautiful Mother Nature.
¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 5:13. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 5:13. 现在几点了？5点。Cha Shi San Fen, 13 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Good afternoon to all working Jamaicans tuned into both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. It's a good time for us to ask ourselves, how productive have we been today? How productive have we been today? Last year, this time, brace for more heavy rains. The story in the Gleaner says the country has been put on alert to expect more showers as a tropical depression is expected to be in the vicinity of Jamaica today. Meteorologists said yesterday that there was a strong possibility that a new storm could be named by late this evening. Again, before you start panicking, this is last year's news, right? Last year, this time, this is what we were dealing with. Satellite imagery indicated a large area of showers and thunderstorms, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. Hold on. The island recently suffered billions of dollars in infrastructural and property damage from rains associated with tropical storm Zeta. And this was that letter, that's a letter from the Greek alphabet. So that gives you an idea of where we were last year this time. And again, the experts, the scientists say, see, this is what climate change does. I can't imagine that it would be anything like. And as far as COVID-19 is concerned, the numbers were on the front page of the Sunday Gleaner last year. This time, 9,094 total confirmed cases. Yeah, that was the number, 9,094 total number of confirmed cases last year. This time, fast forward to 2021, and we're at 89,123, coming from 9,094. We're at 89,123. In the last 24 hours, 109 newly confirmed cases. And also, just to do a bit of comparison here, total number of active cases of COVID-19 last year, this time, 4,257. Fast forward to 2021, and the total number of active COVID-19 cases standing at, where's active? Hold on, let's bring this up. Active, here we go. The active cases, 28,169. 28,169. 58,091 people have recovered from COVID-19. Last year, this time, 4,510 people had recovered from COVID-19. Total number of deaths last year, this time, 206. 206 total number of deaths last year, this time, total number of COVID-19 deaths. Fast forward to 2021, and we're at 2,243 deaths. 2,243 deaths, and 7 of those deaths occurred between October 3 and 30, between the 3rd and the 30th of October. And the age range, a 66-year-old female from Manchester, 65-year-old male from St. Catherine, an 86-year-old male from St. Mary, a 71-year-old male from Clarendon, a 70-year-old male from the corporate area, a 65-year-old male also from the corporate area, and a 66-year-old male from the corporate area as well. Those, let's see, what other numbers were on the front page? The number of patients in hospital last year, this time, 94. 94 patients in hospital last year, this time. Fast forward to 2021, and 256 people are in hospital due to COVID-19. 59 patients moderately ill, 26 severely ill, and 13 critically ill. Those are the numbers, and we continue to urge every one of us to strengthen our immune system. Let's continue to strengthen our immune system. Let's continue to wear our masks. Yes, even if we're fully vaccinated, let's wear our masks. Let's continue to practice physical distancing, at least 6 feet, whether physical distancing or social distancing, same 6 feet at least. and let us do our best to protect the vulnerable in our society, and do the best that we can. After all, whether we like it or not, whether we agree to it or not, we're all in this together. we can't escape it. We can't escape it. As Bob Marley says in one of his songs, you're running and you're running and you're running away, but you can't run away from yourself in more ways than one. So you might think you're running away from people, so you isolate, and we have to isolate. There are those of us who have to isolate. That's a necessity. But for those who feel that just avoiding people, we still have to interact with people one way or another, whether our close family or otherwise. So we just have to be as responsible, as conscious and conscientious as possible, and let's just continue to do the best we can while we can. How about that? Velta Wilson says, I'm late but present. Good everything, Dervan and listeners. Good everything to you too, Velta Wilson, out of St. Thomas. Thank you. And some messages on YouTube. Let's see. Natalie Winter says, hi, Dervan. Good afternoon. Enjoying the weather, giving thanks for life and good people who care about others. Donald Webb says, beef. Please make oxtail great. Beef, please make oxtail. Oh, beef, please make oxtail great again. Way too expensive now. Oh, all right. We get the point, Donald Webb. Carol in Calgary, Alberta, Canada says, good afternoon, Dervan and global listeners. Happy November to all. To you too, Carol. Straight shooter says, I hate people. Hate is a strong word. It's a word but anyway, he says, I hate people who do not speak in their natural voice and tone. I hate affected speech. The Prime Minister is so affected, he says, or he or she, whoever straight shooter is, and uses another word which we will refrain from repeating. But for those of us who lecture on these matters in relation to public speaking, there is affected speech when someone speaks with an affectation. There's a certain texture and timbre to the voice that you know that someone is putting on a voice, as opposed to when it is coming out naturally and so on. Don't want to get too much into that right now, but for those of us who have some experience in communication and public speaking, we can pick up these things quite easily in terms of whether someone is using his or her natural voice or is putting on a voice, or otherwise adding elements to the voice for a particular effect, etc. Thank you very much for your message, straight shooter. Albert in Coconut Creek, Florida, is greeting us. Greetings, Mas Albert. All things being well, we look forward to seeing you and your family in Florida. Donald, we read Donald's message already, yes. Right, on beef, please make oxtail great again. Way too expensive now. Very true, he says. Natalie Winter says, goodbye and luck to all. Death for COVID-19 is still an issue. Angry about it, but we now have a chance and a choice. Thank you, Natalie. Taki Lemkwa says your points are well taken with regard to global warming. We all must be reminded of the mining and the concrete mentality of our beaches taken over by such instead of bamboo structures. Bless on the downside of the afternoon, Dervan, and all the and all. Bless, says Taki Lemqua. Can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Monday, the 1st of November, 2021. The moving finger writes, and having writ, moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, Both Sides of the Story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm, reminding all of us that every day is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Take care.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
News, comprehensive, powerful, and credible. Power 106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's news at 5.
Good afternoon, I am Dervan Gordon. Coming up in the news segment of Beyond the Headlines today, Monday, November 1, 2021. Gripping testimony at the Wandon gang trial today. State witness says alleged leader of the criminal network, Andre Bryan, told him that he killed JUTC chairman Douglas Chambers. And the witness says he, along with one of the defendants on trial, frequently attended PNP meetings. Probe underway into fire at Cult Church in Montego Bay. Health Minister says he's unsure how many expired doses of the COVID-19 vaccine will have to be dumped. In business news, Jamaica to start receiving 16 weekly flights from the UK later this month.